and welcome to probably one of the last videos that you're gonna see in my current house because I'm moving next week. There are actually a bunch of boxes directly to the right of me that are making the house look a lot different, and very soon it's gonna be completely unrecognizable. But I can't wait to show you a tour of the new place after all the renos that I've done and get this place on the market and rented. Today we are doing a 5 Frugal Things video from the first quarter of 2024. If you're unfamiliar, this is a series that I've done for a very long time, talking about recent money wins and fails in an attempt to share with you things that will make it so you don't make the same mistakes or can reach the same positive outcomes with money that I have. And we're gonna start out really strong with, I got my money back from somebody who tried to kind of scam me out of several $100s. So the situation is that I have been shopping for something called a Japanese mini truck for close to half a year now. I specifically want one with an automatic transmission, which is the main issue. It needs to be road legal, so it needs to be at least 25 years old, and it needs to have AC because I live in Texas. This is something that I kind of wanted to get for a gift for Jacob, and also I'll use it myself. He has been obsessed with these things forever. He's not a car guy. He likes them because they're cute and adorable and very small and quite a conversation starter, and they're not very common here. So I've been trying to very sneakily shop online for one. I've been in contact with importers and dealerships and people who are selling them, and there was one guy who was selling one who I asked, like, hey, do you have any idea how I could get my hands on an automatic one? He's like, actually, I'm trying to start an importing business for these. I can find one for you. We can import it. Great. And I'm like, awesome. That sounds amazing. He goes, searches for one with the specs that I want, and he finds one. He's like, great, this is gonna be, I think it was like $7,000. Also, they're very cheap, which is fantastic. And they have like the same size truck bed as an American truck bed, just not like the giant cab or all the lifts or anything like that, because China has much harsher emissions and like road legislation, so they make their cars very tiny, unlike here where, of course, like F-150, 250, 350s, these trucks are just enormous, and I don't even like to ride in those, much less drive one. I want a little truck where I can haul the yard sales and like throw stuff in the back, and I can fit a lot in my hatchback, but not everything will fit in my hatchback. And so this would just be a great pleasure driver for me and Jacob and the dogs to be running around town, and it would be a really cool addition to our lives, and I would love to get one of these for him and for myself. And I want one. It's really hard to get one. So he finds one that meets my specifications, and he's like, cool, we can import it. It's gonna take about 3 months. Awesome. He's like, all right, give me a deposit. Great, understand completely. And I asked, like, all right, so do you have a business associated with this venture or licensing, anything like that? And he's like, no, but I'm trying to start one. And I'm like, coolio. I support starting small businesses, but I think we probably need a little contract extract to protect both of us. And so I write up a little bill of sale that outlines that I'm giving him this much money as a deposit on this much money for this thing, and that if he doesn't deliver this thing, he's gonna give me all my money back. I asked for a copy of his like full legal name and his address and everything like that, just in case I need to track him down for smallest claim court. And boy, golly, howdy, am I glad that I did all of this, because a couple of weeks later, he sends me a Facebook message and says, hey, the guy decided not to sell that truck, so I'm gonna refund some of your money on PayPal. And I'm like, some of my money? And he's like, yeah, I'm subtracting the PayPal fees of what you sent me because I'm not gonna make any profit off of this, but that's $353 off of what you originally paid me. I'm like, wait, you're not delivering me the truck, but I'm supposed to lose out on the PayPal fees for this transaction? No. Promptly blocks me. But fortunately, I have that little contract and I have the screenshot. So I initiate a dispute with PayPal. They see all of this and they refund me the $353 from his account. I was fully prepared to go to like small claims court over this. I had all of his info. I had this contract that we both signed. If you're gonna renege on this deal, you have to lose out on those fees, not me. I mean, hate it for him, but that was the platform that he chose to use for moving the finances over, and thank goodness he did, because they've got this program where you can initiate an investigation and decide who is in the right and who is in the wrong there. So yeah, I would actually totally use a small importer again, but a bill of sale, which I just very quickly downloaded offline, signed, filled it out, sent over to him and got it back, absolutely saved my bacon. So even in smaller transactions, like a few $1,000s, I would absolutely do that again just to save my own butt. Contracts are there for a reason. So I would highly recommend doing that so that you can cover yourself if you are going to do something like that. Also, if anyone knows of a mini truck with AC automatic transmission and is at least 25 years old so I can register it in Texas, please let me know, because I'm having a really hard time finding one. They're all over the place with manual transmissions. We don't want a manual transmission. I can't drive a manual. I could learn, but they're just not as much fun. So I'm really excited about that. I want one real bad. Jacob would love it too. Gonna get one day. That would be really fun. Frugal thing number 2 is that I sourced a bunch of stuff for the new house extremely cheaply. I got a fan for $10 that was just a little dusty for one of the rooms. I wanted to replace all of the fans and lighting fixtures. Most of them didn't really have anything other than like a single light bulb in there. So that's about a $90 savings over buying a new fan, and it looked great and it works great. I got a gorgeous bathroom vanity for $300 from a local pallet picker place my friend Jamal runs. He showed it, I told her I was looking for one. He had one in his warehouse, so he didn't have to like list it on his auction site or anything. And he even delivered it for me. And this is a gorgeous like $1,000 vanity that I got for 300 bucks. I got some cabinets from Home Depot that were originally $85 and they were slightly damaged, but only on the back. And I got $25 off each on those. I promised I wasn't a Karen. I was just like, hey, there's some damage on these. Can you discount them? And they did. I also got a really gorgeous light fixture for $25. It's stained glass off of Marketplace. It did require me going to kind of a sketchy warehouse to meet a guy and just kind of like pawing through his stuff. But it was $25 for an absolutely beautiful stained glass lighting fixture, and I'm really glad that I got it. I also got some bifold doors for $30. I did have to drive 45 minutes away, which might have negated some of the savings on that, but I still think it was worth it. Perfect condition, came with all the hardware. I just had to paint them, and those are gonna be perfect in my space. All right, let's go to number 3 on the list, which is unfortunately a fail. I had to spend over $3,000 on some car maintenance for my little hatchback. Now, I did only spend about $5 grand on purchasing this car because it was a salvage vehicle. I bought it off of a Facebook Marketplace listing. If you haven't heard before, I am a huge fan of salvage cars. I do not care about the pink title versus the blue title. Essentially, if your car gets into an accident, then some people buy them off of like the auction blocks and will repair them. And sometimes your insurance, determining whether they repair it or just count it as a write-off, has something to do with your policy of how much it's going to cost to provide you with a rental car or availability of parts in the area, that kind of thing. So mechanics will purchase cars off of auctions, fix them up the same as they would for you if you just brought it to a shop, and then they retitle them as a salvage car. And this car has been great. I've had it for several years now. It's fantastic. It was only $5 grand, and so having to put $3K into it hurts a little bit, but it's part of maintenance. The fail is that it probably would have cost less if I hadn't procrastinated it. I did notice last time I got an oil change I had a brake job about 6 months ago, and after it I noticed that there was kind of still some squealing, so I actually brought it back to the same place where I got the brake job done, and I'm like, there's squealing, that doesn't make sense, and they're like, no, it's fine. And they recommended, actually, they looked at the back, the wheel bearings. They were like, the wheel bearings probably need to be replaced. It's not urgent. And I procrastinated that way too long. It got to the point where not only the wheel bearings needed to be replaced, but the spindles as well, because they had kind of taken some beatings on that. So I probably would have had to spend less money if I had just gotten it done. I was told this around Christmas, so it was kind of busy travel time. And then we just waited until like February to get it done. And yeah, cost me a little more. I probably could have saved about $1 grand if I had just gotten it done more promptly. So that's a lesson to me. The win of that is that I had sinking funds for car maintenance and savings associated with that. So even though having to do this in the middle of a giant reno where I'm spending so much of my money on this house, I still had those savings layers to protect me. So highly recommend that. So I didn't have to go into debt for it. I didn't have to do anything other than just not be happy that I had to spend the money, which at the end of the day is not a huge problem at all. Win number 4 is that I signed up for the Big Event, which is a Texas A&M student event where they volunteer to help community homeowners with yard and house projects, which is a really, really cool thing. It's not need-based. Tens of thousands of kids volunteer for this event day every single year. I've had them come out before and actually help me install a French drain here. It's actually the biggest student-run volunteer day in the country, and it's amazing. These kids are so nice to come out and do this. And they came over to the new house and helped me pull out tons of old brush and trash. They helped me re-mulch some areas of the lawn, but mostly with just like debris pickup and pulling out all sorts of gunk and dirt and leaves. A few of them did a little bit of painting for me. We pulled out an old like stick in the ground fence, not anything with concrete or anything like that, I promise, just like the kind of shove in the ground ones. And it was really awesome. I think I had 10 kids come, and they were just the sweetest. And I absolutely love that this university that I work at and the students here do this for the community one day a year. It is the coolest event, and I'm so grateful that the work that they did. We filled an entire trailer full of trash and about 10 huge garbage bags full of leaves and debris. That would have taken me weeks on my own, or cost me hundreds and hundreds of dollars to have somebody else mitigate it, which I wouldn't have. I just would have done it myself, and it would have taken forever. So super grateful for that. All right, frugal thing number 5 is that I chose to paint my new house myself instead of just paying for the contractors to do it. I spent over 20 grand on contractors' work on my new house. That included the tearing down of a wall that was load bearing and installing a new support beam, the renovation of the bathroom, a lot of work to the kitchen, and a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff that you'll get to see in the Duplex Diaries season 3. Because they were already doing so much work there, Ryan, my contractor, actually offered me a really great rate to paint the entire house. But I essentially wanted to put in some sweat equity myself, unfortunately, and I am still trying to mind my numbers there. So $1 grand or $2 to have them paint the house versus me doing it myself, which is free but takes many weekends, is still a savings, which is important in these homes and to me, because I only have so much money to put into these investments, and I've already spent more than I realistically should on this place. Like, the wall didn't have to come down. It did improve the place a ton, but that's not really gonna improve the total market value of the house. It's just gonna make it a lot more pleasant to live in for me and for future tenants. So it is something that I want to do, and I did go a little higher level on some of the improvements because I will be living there. So the least I could do kind of was a lot of the repairs that I could do myself. I can't take down a wall, I can't do plumbing, but I can paint. I actually ended up renting a industrial paint sprayer from Ryan for about $60 and having him teach me how to use it, and that helped with a lot of the room paint. I unfortunately did have to still, do touch-ups and re-sheetrocking and stuff like that, and the first room that I did does not look great, and I actually had to paint it again 2 days ago because there were so many drips from me kind of learning to use the industrial paint sprayer that I had to, cut a lot of stuff down and then retexture it. But it's all a learning curve, and I learned how to do something new in that. And also it didn't cost as much money as investing. And he gave me a great rate for it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like 50 cents a square foot. It was ridiculously cheap, but it was still, that adds up, over 950 square feet to paint a place when I could do it myself. I'm not saying I had the time, but I made the time to do it myself, and we're getting close, and I only have a little more painting to do. And it's mostly like the closets that I've already had to like build out extra shelves in. So I also shopped around quite a bit for quotes on things. For instance, the quote that Ryan gave me to do the fencing, I did have him do like the large back fence replacement, but the front fence replacement, his quote was really high for that because he has a very small team, the amount of physical labor that it takes for that. His quote was good for everything else, but on the front fence, I was like, I really think I need to figure out a way to do this a little cheaper. And if that includes me learning how to build a fence, thank God it did not, or doing some sort of like temporary push-in fence, or finding somebody else who could give me a better quote on that, which is what happened. And I ended up getting a fence done for over $1,000 less than Ryan quoted me for it. It looks great. He has no hard feelings on that. He knows that, you know, some people can do fences a lot cheaper and throw them up because that's their specialty. And the guy that I worked with was absolutely great. One of Ryan's workers knew him, and so that was great. Number six is kind of a combo win and fail, because at the end of the day, the amount of time I spent chasing down this money was not worth the money. But I got stranded at DFW coming back from a baby shower in Atlanta earlier this year, and this is the third time this has happened to me. What happens is something gets delayed, you end up stuck at DFW, and I can't get home to College Station. And that's like an hour flight or a 3-hour drive. And somehow it just always happens where I get stuck at DFW and they offered me like a hotel room for the night and everything, but I'm 3 hours from home. So Jacob offered to come and get me, which he's done 3 times. One time we even ended up picking up just like a spare passenger who also needed to get to College Station, and she rode with us. She fell asleep immediately and woke up when we dropped her at her house, and I can't remember her name. I've never seen or heard from her again, and we'd never met her before, but that was great that we were able to do that and give her a ride home as well. But yeah, I argued with online support with American Enough, and they refunded me a total of $46.15 for the flight that I did not end up taking, which frankly wasn't worth it for the number of like emails I had to send. I know, isn't that ridiculous like that? But no, the amount of time that I spent trying to get that refund back and then to find out it's only 45 bucks, I was like, honestly, like we spent more in gas to get up there. God bless Jacob for coming to get me, because I just wanted to be home. I would have stayed the night, but we just wanted me home. Close to the end, number 7, I sold my stocks in my M1 brokerage. I got an email that said that they were moving to a different model for their investing platform, where they charge fees to everybody, even though it was previously free. I hate it when businesses change to a subscription model, and even if it's only $3 a month, that's unacceptable to me. Like, you have my money, you're making money off of me investing my money there and keeping my money there with you. And it's the same thing that happened with Ellevest, is all of a sudden they went from a no fee or a low fee to a subscription per month, and I don't want to pay that. So I sold my stocks there, shut down my account, and I just moved them over into my Vanguard. I had $2,359 in M1, and they were previously a perfectly fine platform. It was a much easier interface to like buy and trade stocks, even though I'm not huge into doing that. It was fun to be able to play in there and kind of learn a little bit more about investing with an interface that's a lot more user-friendly than like Vanguard. But subscription models just aren't worth it to me, and I don't recommend them. They're just charging you for doing business with them, and I don't put up with that for banks. I don't put up with that for investing. No, not gonna do it. I think it's money grab. So if you didn't know, that's where M1 Finance is now. They, got big over a lot of influencer investing and recommendations, and it's free to invest. It's free to invest. We're not charging you anything. It's no longer free to invest. So just be mindful of how much you're being charged for places that you're doing business with, and if it's worth it. I don't mind paying Netflix for entertainment. I feel like I'm paying them for the service, but if you already have my money and you're making money off of my money, I don't feel like you should charge me anything for it. And the final frugal thing, number 8, is that I sold a bunch of stuff. I have been trying to downsize just a little bit, declutter. This place is about 1,200 square feet. The place we're moving is 950 square feet, and we're losing a lot of storage. So I sold a small dresser for 50 bucks, sweater boxes I had in the ag wagon for 25 bucks. I bought some clothing to Uptown Cheapskate and Plato's and got $40 and $45 each from those places. So 160 bucks for some fairly small things. I've also been selling some stuff on Poshmark, but I don't have the totals on those. Just trying to get some out and get a little bit of money for it. So those are my 8 frugal things for the first quarter of 2024. I would love to know what some of the frugal wins and fails that you have done so far this year are. And I can't wait to see you guys again in the new place. Actually, I have a night thing. I almost forgot. I got these Texas A&M boots for 50 cents at a yard sale. They do have some damage to them, but I have leather tools and I feel like I can kind of fix them up. 50 cents at a yard sale. Look how cute they are.